You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey, I'm Michael from Arizona. Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. With me always are my good friends.
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And AK Mike in Texas.
And this week we have a special guest, David Boito. He actually wrote a novel and had contacted us and sent me a copy of it. It's called Valley Fliers. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So I did get a chance to read the novel. It's about a 17-year-old boy. And why don't you kind of give us a little bit, just a sneak peek of the book or give us a little promotion, and then we probably get a little question and answer session going since I have a couple questions.
Yeah, it's about a young high school kid, a high school senior at his local RC flying field, and he's a member of a group of young flyers called the Valley Fliers, and the group is run by a veteran Air Force captain, pilot, and he invites somebody new onto the field, kind of a brash, also Air Force, much younger Air Force, retired Air Force. It's kind of odd because he's retired pretty young. And what happens is Jay, our main character, the high school RC flyer, starts to suspect there's something a little off about this guy, and he's sort of a guy that's prone to conspiracy theories. So, most of the other flyers on the field don't really buy into his theory about this guy, but he starts to promote the idea this guy may be an assassin because he uses some drones that are military grade and not really available to the public, and so that sets off some red flags for him. And from there, it becomes sort of an investigation, a stakeout type of, rear. I don't know if you're familiar with the Hitchcock movie Rear Window. Mm-hmm. He wants to spy on this guy and find out a little more about what's going on, and I won't give away too much of the plot, but
sure.
It's a back and forth between, is this guy kind of just really paranoid, or is there something going on with this Air Force captain that's very brash and
what's funny? It's funny, David, because what you don't realize. I mean, I know that you really haven't met Jay or had too much conversation with him, and in fact, before you wrote this book, you didn't. And it's like you nailed him. Like you totally nailed him. He's a conspiracy theorist.
I know,
he looks like a senior in high school. I mean, geez, I don't know how you could have done any better, man.
But it's he flies like a senior in high school. What are you talking about?
I didn't want to say that out loud, but thanks, Mike. I appreciate you getting
Not
that
a problem.
out front.
I'll take the bullet.
Good. Yeah, that's good.
Friends.
Anyway, no similarity to real persons or
That's right.
You got to throw that in there.
You put that disclaimer.
And the fact that Jay was a captain too in the Air Force, that doesn't matter. That's no bearing at all.
Right. No bearing
well,
at
the
all.
hero of the movie of the book is Jay as well. So
yeah.
And there's going to be a movie
We've already
soon,
jumped
too.
to movie status now.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say.
It's coming out at a theater near you.
Well, the ironic
awesome.
thing is this actually, I'm a screenwriter, and this actually started as a movie script, and I decided to turn it into a book.
Oh.
Cool.
Writing a version of the movie on paper, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you did it in a movie, you'd probably have to cast Jay, and I don't know if that would be the best thing.
Hey, he's a good-looking guy,
He's hard to
you
work
go.
with, though.
That's right.
I mean, it's taken us 8 years to get to this point.
I know, right?
Right. Does he take direction well?
So they say.
Yeah,
They say.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
That's
When
funny.
your wife is in the passenger seat, Jay, do you turn which way she tells you?
Well, I do whatever she tells me. Keeps us all happy.
There you
Wise
go,
man.
David. There you go. You got your answer.
Yeah, happy wife, happy life. That's our motto. So you live in the San Fernando Valley, and you're close to a field, Apollo Field, right? You're down in that
I
area?
am, yeah, and been by there many times. Ride my bicycle through the park a lot, and I'm always stopping to see what's going on the field. Of course, the last couple of years, it hasn't been quite as crowded as usual, but yeah, it's a great place. It's a great field. I mean, speaking as a spectator mostly, but I love it there. I mean, and that's really what inspired the story is just going by this place and on a regular basis and seeing what's going on and the quality of the aviators that were on the field. That's sort of really what inspired me to write the story because it really hasn't been done. I mean, and nothing that I've seen really has really addressed, the world of the flying field, the RC flying field. And I know they're all over the country. And so I think it's a fantastic arena for stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, Apollo Field is pretty famous. There's not too many RC guys that don't know about Apollo Field. It's got a very distinct look, and they do a lot of testing and stuff out that direction. So, So I do know that, and there are some really great flyers out there. I've actually flown with some at some of the bigger events, the jet rallies and stuff. We meet up with guys that fly at Apollo Field. I haven't actually had the chance to fly out there yet, but, like I said, I kind of hang out and fly certain times during the year with guys. They either come here or we go up to Buttonwillow and we fly up near Bakersfield.
Uh-huh.
So a quick question here. When you drive by the field, how did you develop this thought process of getting these characters together? Because it's pretty intricate and it intrigues me. And if this is off the topic, I'm sorry, but it intrigues me how you bring all of these people. Are they actually people you know, or is it just that you just pull these characters out of just thin air?
I'm always thinking about stories, and the characters in the book are based on sort of a conglomerate of people that I've met, some veterans that I know that, are just similar to the character in the book. And I'm always looking for an angle on a story. I mean, obviously the villain, I became interested. Obviously I went around and I did a bit of research and was looking for, who would this villain be? And obviously, some of these remote flyers in the Air Force, I think have some issues because in terms of, when they get out, because it's just it's a very new type of, war fighting than we've seen in ages past. And so it opens itself up to a lot of issues that have been treated in a few movies, about drone pilots in the military. And so I just wanted to create a villain that's based on also some of these stories that you've read about, drones being used by some of the drug cartels in Mexico, and also there have been instances. I believe the president of Venezuela there was an assassination attempt on him with a drone, and so I thought, well, how could I sort of combine, that sort of ethos into a character that, obviously it's completely fictional, but might be kind of interesting as a villain that hadn't been done in the past. And I love stories about young people that are sort of underdogs, and that are on watch. And I think it's great in the RC world. You have to have a certain discipline to fly, and I just thought, wow, what about a group of young people like you see in some of these Spielberg movies of the '90s, where the kids save the day, and so I tried to create a group of young people like that have to rise up and take care of business.
Very cool. Yeah, I noticed that the group of kids that was in this were very, very active at the field, which in our experience is not quite as common. You know, we don't have as many kids at my field. At my field, I'm probably the youngest guy. I am the kid at the field, you know, most of the time. But
and you ain't no kid.
And I ain't no kid. I got kids of my own. So I got grandkids. So you know, but it was good to see. I think it's a good read for kids that, you know, may be interested in that, because it opens them up to the things that can kind of go on at a field. I think you did a really good job explaining kind of the, you know, mechanics of how a field works and where you should stand and fly, and you know, albeit the father figure there, he you know, kind of ruled with an iron fist, which is funny to me, because Jay has stories. RJ has stories about guys that ran their fields very similar to the way this guy did it. Oh yes, yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Exactly. So
can you tell one? I'm curious.
We have listeners all over the world that don't get any hate mail.
Okay.
Oh well,
there was a couple of. I was going to say, Jay, you can go ahead. There's a couple of them, I think, that you told us that. Probably you get away
our
with.
field wasn't too bad, but unfortunately, the guy who was in charge, it was the thing of, he'd been there for so long. You know, he'd been the president. He'd been, you know, taking care of the thing that. Even though he had other officers at the club to take care of things and to do things, he took it upon himself that nobody could do anything but him, to do anything right but him. And it just caused a lot of conflict with people, because, you know, and then of course, since this guy would override whatever you were doing, if you were one of the officers and you were trying to do something and he would kind of override you, well, then people don't tend to want to work or help if, you know, you're going to get chomped on by this guy who's micromanaging things.
Sure.
And then of course he would complain, well, you know, we can't do these things because nobody helps me. And everybody's just looking around like, well, we try to help you, but, you know, you micromanage so much, you know, we can't even help or try to help because you're micromanaging too much. Well, you know, well, if that's the case, we're going to do this. And you know, everybody's like groaning and moaning. But, you know, people put up with it because, you know, he liked to do it and stuff. But, of course, his wife, the funny part about this, his wife used to complain to me all the time about, hey, you know, I'm really, you know, I don't mind doing the events or helping out with the events, but, you know, it'd be nice if some of you guys would help out or do stuff at the field, or, you know, I would sure like my husband to be available on Saturdays and Sundays, but, you know, he has to run everything. And I would just be like, yeah, that's just too bad. You know, I don't know what to tell you. So, but that's one of the milder, just an overviewing mild portion of the field. But yeah,
I pretty much everybody in the RC industry has some sort of a story where some guy tried to, you know, take over and act very much like your character Kent. So, although I have to say Kent was very safety conscious, so that was good news for me. He's
dealing with young people.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as far as he makes that speech about the LiPo batteries, and honestly, my neighbor down the street, he was doing some RC cars with LiPo batteries and left a battery unattended in his garage, and his garage burned down. So that kind of inspired part of that plot.
Yeah,
we had a whole episode about that.
We did, because in my old club, I had a guy that was working on his LiPo battery in his garage, and he had nitro gas sitting on the bench. And when it went up, it cost him his life. His wife was sitting in there watching TV while the whole garage burned down with him in it. So it was pretty tragic, but we had a whole, you know, like couple episodes of safety with LiPo batteries. Yeah, you don't want to be just walking away from those and leaving them charged, unless you don't want to live in the house anymore. Then you can. It's pretty easy to do. Right. Today's chargers are a little bit different. They don't. They have a safety feature that won't let you charge a different style or type of battery, but that's what caused it. Because when you went to go charge a NiCad battery versus a LiPo battery, it's a different charge. So guys would leave their chargers on LiPo or on NiCad, and then they would put a LiPo on there and hit the charge button, and it was like trying to walking a fire hose through that thing, and it just created so much heat it would burst into flames.
Yep.
So most of them have built security, safety issues into those, but
that's good.
They've had a really big reduction in the amount of fires I think that people have had just because of those. So.
I would have thought my thing would caught on, though, Mike. Safety third was what I usually led with. But
safety third. Oh, my God.
But it never caught on, so I don't know why.
Nope. I don't know. Well, safety first, safety third, it's all in line. So, talk to me a little bit about your research. How'd you go about figuring it all out? Because I noticed in the book you kind of mentioned certain brands, certain types of aircraft, and so how did that all come about?
Came about. I mean, I do have a couple of friends that are pretty avid flyers, guys that I work with in the film industry, and so I would hit them up with questions. One of the guys is a real good RC helicopter pilot, and Bob Violet. I just researched that and talked to some people and tried to really immerse myself in the field. I think some of the readers, I've heard some comments from a few readers anyway that wow, there's a lot of names of airplanes in there. So anyway, hopefully it doesn't throw off the lay people too much,
yeah.
But I thought it was important to include that for the authenticity of the.
I have a question for you, David. You said you were a screenwriter. I did some Googling around a little bit, and I saw one that you did pretty recently. I said it's called Sati.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then is there other ones that that maybe other people might recognize?
Probably not. Unfortunately, one of the reasons it's nice to write books is because you get to bring stuff to the readers and do stuff like this. And movies, obviously, millions and millions of dollars are spent on making movies, so it's hard to get them to launch sometimes. I worked on a TV show called Head of the Class that you might have heard of.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
But it was like
we're not young chickens.
Yeah.
Not the new one. There's a new one now. They rebooted it. But, I
cool.
co-wrote one of the old episodes.
That is neat.
But yeah, unfortunately, as a screenwriter, it's just a lot of stuff just never sees the light of day. And so that's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to branch out into books.
That's cool.
Now, this is your first novel, right? It's your debut.
It is,
from what I
yeah.
understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and
the reviews I saw were good. I didn't get a chance to read like Mike did, and you've got some good reviews out there for what I saw.
I really liked it. I mean, it was. I took it with me on a business trip, and I read it. In the hotel room. I just kind of started into it, and I finished it in about a day and a half. So I couldn't put it down.
Okay.
I probably should have been sleeping, and instead I was reading. But I think you did a really great job bringing all aspects of the RC world into play. You talked, about different sections of it. Whether it was control line flying or pylon racing or 3D, sport aerobatics, the gnats, that kind of thing. So I think it's a really good, general consensus of what the RC world looks like, and I think you did a great job. And having said that, have you flown RC before? Has anybody ever put you on the sticks and let you fly one around?
Unfortunately, I have not flown RC per se. As a kid, I did have a control line Cox plane.
Okay.
But that's about the extent of it.
049.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think we all started out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have some friends. They haven't quite given me the green light to take their planes out. I suppose the place to start would be with the foamy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I want to do that. I just, lately I've just been kind of busy writing. And so, I also have a regular day job. So the writing usually takes up whatever free time that I'm allowed, outside of my wife's honeydew list. So.
There you go.
But if you guys are ever in the neighborhood, I would love to come out to whatever field you're out. If you're here in Southern California.
Well, we definitely, if you're around where we're around, one of us would put you in the air. There's no question about
yes,
that.
definitely.
That would be phenomenal.
I'm an AMA instructor actually, and in today's world, we have a wireless buddy box. So you basically hand the box to you. You can control whatever controls you're comfortable with. I can give you the whole control, or I can give you partial of it. And then I can take it off and then just say, okay, your airplane, and you fly it around. And if you get into trouble, I just touch the stick and it's mine again. So it's a very, very good program, and we've got a lot of guys that show up to our field. It's kind of funny. The field that I fly is called the Sun Valley Flyers. So I was like, oh, hey, Valley Flyers. But Sun Valley because we're in Phoenix. Because we're in Phoenix, and we do have new guys that show up to the field all the time with nice equipment, and then they have no idea. They went to the hobby store, they bought it. They were like, hey, can you teach me to fly this? And I'm looking at it going, that's not a really good starter airplane. It's not. But, they want something. They see the electric jet, or they see a turbine or whatever, and they want to, hey, I want to fly this. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer than just a day to learn how to fly it. And
jet. That could be a lethal weapon,
it could, yeah.
Only in my hands.
I'm really impressed.
You probably can't see it. It's sitting. There you go. That's a new turbine jet sitting right there in my shop, over on the other table.
But it only costs $20, right, Mike?
Oh no, that's a full-on turbine jet.
Oh,
like what you
like
talk
a real
about
turbine.
in the book. It's
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
it's
but
got
it only cost you $20, right, Mike?
$20. That's all it costs.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, I always tell these guys that my biggest fear is when I pass away that my wife sells all my equipment for what I told her I paid for it. So there you go. Well, do you have – okay, so here's my other question. Is there going to be a follow-up?
Well, possibly. I'm still waiting to see. The book's been out since early November. Okay. And it's possible. I have some ideas for a sequel. Currently, I'm working on another book that's another subject. It's a fictional book, but it's not in the RC area. So I'm waiting to see how much more interest I can get in this book, and then we'll go from there.
Well, this looks like a kind of book that you might want to give away as a Christmas present. Like, I know we're not near Christmas, but it seems to me like this is the kind of thing you'd want to get as a Christmas gift, or just maybe to generate interest in RC flying altogether. People like they like the mystery and stuff like that. And who doesn't like a good conspiracy theory? Raise your hand if you do, right?
Yeah,
we're living in that.
Let me go. Yeah, that's why we're all in separate places.
Oh, wait,
it's
supposed to be secret ballot. Secret ballot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Secret ballot.
That's it.
Well, actually, believe it or not, when I read this, just the interaction with the kids and the way everything kind of worked, I read a lot and novels and stuff when I'm on the road, and this seems to me just that you could actually do somewhat of a series. So it's got character development. He's young, right? So he could continue to grow and his friends and kind of get involved and maybe start a bit. So I could see this thing going maybe several different if you can actually get it up. I don't know what the numbers are, if you have to sell a certain amount for your publisher to go, hey, let's get another one, or what that looks like. But it definitely it catches me as something that would maybe a sequel or 2 or 3 can kind of do that whole Vince, Flynn thing where you kind of got the guy, living his life every year. You come out with a new book or, something like that. So anyway, I liked it. It was a kind of a fun read for me. So,
well, here you go, David. Here's one for free. So the big thing that's happening right now in the Ukraine, the war that's happening in the Ukraine, it's going to go down as the drone war for them because The Russians are getting their butts kicked here and there because the Ukrainians are using drones, not big, expensive military drones. They're using good old little phantoms that they're buying online, and they're using it to.
And you were talking about a drone, Jay. You're talking about like a quad, right?
Yeah, they're using quad.
Well, yeah, it's a.
but I'm just
Well, I
saying,
mean, everybody calls
it's
drones,
still,
right?
It's
And
still,
as we know, that's.
Yeah.
It's not a fixed wing, but I'm just saying in the realm of RC flying and just something that's inexpensive, they're using a common item to fight a modern battle. And so the Russians don't know how to deal with, hey, they're moving armor, they're moving this, and then they're getting ambushed all over the place, and they're just like, well, how many guys do they have? How do they know we're here? And it's because they're being beat by people who are just using what they have. And, so.
No,
sure you can turn that into an
you're
action-
absolutely right. I mean,
Action-packed
there's a lot
novel,
more
so.
room for story.
Yeah, well, Jay's got to get through the Air Force Academy already, so
That would probably be the next phase. Yeah.
where he can do some stuff there. I do have contacts over there if you're interested in doing some research. I know a couple of guys that could probably help you if you're in that arena.
I may just
they have a
hit you up
glider
for that.
program over there. Yeah, they've got a glider
Wow.
program over there and a Cirrus program over there that both are flying, and so it's a good jump from RC stuff to real airplanes. Maybe throw some RC stuff back in there, and you'd be surprised how many guys started out on a control line or some sort of a Cox airplane. Or I was watching something. Somebody sent me something the other day that had in 1973 on Johnny Carson. They launched that carrier. Do you remember that, Jay? Where it was an F4, and they would launch it off the carrier, and it would turn around, and you'd have to land it back on the carrier. I think it was called it was a game. It was like a little toy. Anyway, they debuted it on Johnny Carson in 1974, and I thought, wow, that's that was a little control line. It just went out, turned around, and came back. But it was kind of interesting. I saw it, and it kind of reminded me that all of us kind of started somewhere. We just all kind of, went from little control lines or maybe a little tossing the little rubber band airplanes to something like what's on my table. I don't know what happened. I got confused in there somewhere and wound up with a couple of turbines. So, but it's exciting to see.
Go?
How can we get your book? Tell us how we can
The
get
book's available on Barnes & Noble. It's available on Amazon. I believe Walmart. I mean, you're going to have to. These are mostly you're going to have to order it online.
Sure.
Some of the local bookstores are going to start carrying it in the Southern California area, but we're still working on getting it into all the Barnes & Noble stores. Unfortunately, there's not that many bookstores left.
No.
It's mostly
Oh my gosh!
online.
There's probably a
Here in
conspiracy
Los
theory about that
Angeles area,
too.
there's what's that?
There's probably a conspiracy theory about that too. We could.
There probably
Yeah,
is.
you might as well
We
work
could
that into
probably
it.
sit here and noodle on that.
I
But anyway,
blame-
Amazon.
I blame it on the movie You Got Mail, because once they saw all the bookstores were closing, then the characters just bought every bookstore out there. So
There you go. I hadn't thought of that. I'll buy that.
that's funny. All right, so go on to Amazon. It's called Valley Fliers, and it's a novel about a young kid that's out in the RC world that's looking to improve his life by winning a contest, getting a scholarship, and I think Dave did a really great job. Can they, if they're interested in knowing more about it, where do they contact you at?
They contact me. I have a website. It's my name, David Boito, BOITO.com. You can Google me. That's probably the best place to find out more information about the book. I would love to hear from any fans. Of course, please, if you do read it, review it. That would be great too. That always helps.
And where's the best place to review it, on Amazon or where you bought it? Or
Yeah, Amazon probably the best place. Or Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
Whatever you prefer.
Sure. Well, we'll definitely, like I said, we have a worldwide audience, so hopefully this will generate some, interest in you and at least in the novel. And if you're one of our listeners and you do get a copy of it, or go ahead and order one, let us know what you think. So it's been a pleasure having David on the show. And it's a great novel, so get out there and buy it. And hey, if you're ever in Phoenix or Texas, and just touch base with us via email, and we'll get together and stick some airplanes in the air and put you on some sticks.
You bet I will. Yeah, my wife has family in the Austin area.
There you go.
Sometimes down
Okay.
there.
There you go. Well,
Just
Jay's
don't come in
the Austin
April.
area.
Just don't come in April. It's been the worst. The worst.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
The weather's been kind of
That's
bad.
funny. So, the weather has been bad down there. So,
Yeah.
well, we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much for stopping by our studio, and we are looking forward to seeing when the next novel comes out.
My pleasure. I really appreciate you guys and your support. I really do.
No problem,
and,
David.
hats off to you.
Not a problem. Thank you so much. Well, I'm Michael from here in Arizona.
And I'm Jay from the hills of Texas.
And I'm AK Mike in Texas.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.